Hi guys, for your reading today we are going to be looking at another poem, and the poem we're going to be looking at today is called My Shadow by Robert Louis Stevenson. Okay, I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very, very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoots up taller like an India rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there's none of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, and can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me, he's a coward, you can see. I'd think shame to stick to Nursey as that shadow sticks to me. One morning very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an errant sleepy-head, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. Okay, think about what this poem is about. Okay, it's interesting because this shows this reiterates the point, guys, that the poet is Robert Louis Stevenson. We talked about how poems might not necessarily be written in the persona of the poet, because we know that Robert Louis Stevenson is a boy. Robert is a boy's name. But this picture here shows us a girl with some curls in her hair. So it's interesting, okay? Don't let this picture make you think it is a girl, though. That's one of the questions we'll come on to make you think as the reader, who is this poem written through the eyes of? Your 6 questions today. Can you identify and highlight the rhyming words in the poem? Is the poem about a real person? What is it about? Why does the poet call his shadow a coward? How do you think the character feels about his shadow, and what gives you this impression? Can you find me a simile in the poem? And in the last verse, why did the shadow stay at home, do you think? Pause the video while you have a go at answering those. Remember to answer in full sentences, so the red sentence stem is how your answers should start. Okay, good work. So, highlighting the poem with the rhymes. Okay, so we've got me and see. We've got grow and slow. We've got play and way. And we've got up and buttercup. Okay, and then let me choose a different colour highlighter. We've then got head and bed, ball and, oh, not ball and him, ball and all, see and me, and head and bed. And you can see, guys, we call this an AABB pattern, okay, because your A's are yellow, your B's are green, okay. In every stanza, so every verse, you've got 2 A's and 2 B's, okay. If there was another 2 lines underneath, if every stanza had 6 lines and the last 2 lines, so line 5 and line 6 rhymed, that would be C. Okay, so there's quite an interesting and quite regular pattern with this. So, is the poem about a real person? What is it about? So I'm going with the poem is not about a person, okay? Although it definitely brings the shadow to life. The shadow is doing all of these things that a person would do, okay? The poem's not about a person. It is about a shadow. The title gives us a clue, doesn't it? Okay, it's about a shadow. Why does the poet call his shadow a coward? So let's find that. It's down here. He's a coward, you can see. If we go back to it, it says, he stays so close beside me. If you think back, if you've ever been in a scary situation and you're with your friends or your mom or your dad, you might stay really close by them, okay? You wouldn't wander off by yourself if you were scared, okay? And that's what the word coward means, if you were scared of something. He's a little bit scared. He's a coward, you can see. And the reason that she calls him, or he calls him, a coward is because he stays so close beside me. Okay, so he doesn't leave the shadow. The shadow does not leave the person's side. Okay, this goes back to who the character is that's writing the story. Is it a girl? Is it a boy? Okay, this is a question to you, and there's no right or wrong answer. Okay, and that'll be on the next question. But how do you think this character in your head, whether it's a girl or a boy, feels about, I've written his shadow. Oh, I didn't mean to write his. I meant to write there. And what gives you the impression? Okay, I get the impression that the character, whether it's a girl or a boy, I don't know, I get the impression that the character doesn't really know that the shadow is their shadow. I think it's because, I get this impression because she seems shocked, or the character, I keep saying she and he, I'm really sorry. I think the character is almost quite excited. I get this feeling that they're quite excited. Have a little shadow that goes in and out with me. And what can be the use of him is more than I can see. So maybe a little bit confused as to why this shadow keeps following them. Okay, what they're saying here, they don't know what the use of this shadow is. Okay, so maybe a bit confused or a little bit inquisitive. Noticing that they're the same, very, very like me from the heels to the head. I think the character might feel quite fondly, quite friendly towards the shadow. Because if you see, I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. Okay, so that's not bothering the character. Okay, you've got words like funny. Okay, and sometimes shoots up like an India rubber ball. That gives us an action. Okay, and the word play and make a fool, that makes us think that the character feels quite joyful, maybe like they've got a little friend. So yeah, I think that's what gives me that impression. But they're also quite inquisitive. They're not fully sure why this shadow is following them round. Can you find me a simile in the poem? Okay, the simile that we are talking about is that it shoots up tall like an India rubber ball. Okay, so like a bouncing ball. And the last one, in the last verse, why do you think the shadow stopped at home? So in the last verse, the shadow stopped at home because, let's have a little look at the last stanza. Stayed at home in bed behind me. There's one thing, the context of this, one morning very early, and this is the important bit, before the sun was up. Think about your science. What do shadows need? Shadows need a little bit of light behind them, don't they? Or the object needs a little bit of light behind them, should I say, to cast the shadow. The shadow was fast asleep in bed that morning because the character was up before the sun was up. So there was no sun to cast the shadow. Okay, that was quite a tricky question. Okay. See if you can talk to your grown-up. Get your grown-up to read the poem to you and ask them whether they think the character is a girl or whether they think the character is a boy. Okay, because like we said, it's written by a man, Robert Louis Stevenson. The picture has got the girl in, okay, but then the character refers to the shadow as he. Okay, but that still doesn't mean that it's a boy writing the poem. It could be a girl, and the girl doesn't know that the shadow is her shadow. She could think she's got a friend that's a boy. Have a think about it and let us know what you think.
Good morning, class 3. I hope you're okay and got on all right yesterday. I've got your learning here that we're going to go through. I'm just going to type in the end time for you, okay, for each one. I'll briefly explain it before looking at today's learning. Okay, so number 1, your start time was 12:15, so that was 12:15, and your duration was 30 minutes. So all you had to do there was add that 30 minutes on. We can double check that 30, as long as 30 and 15 minutes don't equal more than 60, or 6 don't equal 60 or more, we don't need to change our hour. So 30 add 10 is 40, add another 5 is 45, and we're saying the same hours, that's 12:45. Well done if you got that one. Number 2, we've got 7:20, so 20 minutes past 5 in the evening. Duration is 25 minutes. So I'm just going to try, I'm not adding any hours there, so I'll just see if my minutes equal less than 60. So 20 to 20 is 40, add 5 is 45 again. So that's 17, same hour, 45. Okay, so the next one, your duration starts to get a little bit bigger. We're looking at hours and minutes now. So 20:05, so that's 5 minutes past 8 in the evening. And the duration is 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to add an hour on. So instead of it being 20, it's now 21. And then minutes, I had 5 minutes past, and now we're another 10 minutes later than that. So 5 at 10 is 15. So that's 9:15 in the evening. 21:15. Okay, so for the last one then, I've been a bit mean here and tried to trick you. We had 8:45, so that's 8:45 in the morning, so that's 9:45 in the morning. We're adding an hour, so instead of it being 8:45, it's then going to become 9:45 at 15 minutes. And 45 add 15 is 60, which gives us another hour. So instead of it being 9:45, it then becomes 10 o'clock. Okay, so well done if you got those. Again, don't worry if you didn't. Just well done for having a go. Okay, if you'll secure it then. Amir said that it's currently 20 minutes to 3 o'clock. So if school finishes in 45 minutes, it will finish at 3:25. Whitney says school ends at 2:85. So Whitney is incorrect. So hopefully you agreed with Amir, because if you look at the clock here and you added 45 minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20 would be 3 o'clock, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, it would be 3:25. What Whitney has done there, she's just added 45. She knows that the time at the moment is 20 to 3. So that would be 2:40. She knows that 2:40 add 45 equals 85, but she's forgotten that there's 60 minutes in an hour. Okay, so she's added 45 minutes onto 2:40 and forgot that that would actually take her into the next hour. Okay, so hopefully you've spotted that and said you can't have 85 minutes in digital time because there's 60 minutes in an hour. If you were to take away 60 from that, you would be left with 1 hour. So you can add your hours, that would be 3, and then you'd be left with 25 minutes. She just has forgotten that that 60 minutes represents 1 hour. Okay, so here's today's LO then. We're on Thursday the 21st of May, and we're going to be now looking at finding start time. So using what you did yesterday, but working in reverse to find the start time instead of finding the end time. We'll have the end time and the duration and work backwards to find out what time something started. Okay, so pause it now whilst you write that down. Okay, so here we go. It'll be really useful using that link again today if it's possible to get that on some sort of tablet or something, or on the computer as well. That would be really, really helpful when you do it. You can do it along with me as well, as I'm going to be using it throughout. A mixture of doing that and how else you can work it out in your head. Okay, so Lucy was watching a film, and it was 1 hour and a half hours long. So it was 1.5 hours long. And this was the time when it finished. What time did it start? So I'm going to go ahead and use my clock. So it finished at 4 o'clock. Just going to drag my hour hand to 4. Try and get my minute hand bang on. There we go. 4 o'clock. There's the digital time. And that was the time it finished. Now, if a film was 1 hour and a half long, I need to go backwards 1.5 hours. Now, when we've been using this clock, we've been going this way because that's time moving on. That's called clockwise, going this way round. Okay. However, if we start going backwards and rewinding, that means that's called anti-clockwise because you're going against it. Okay, you're going anti-clockwise. So today we're going to be using anti-clockwise to find the start time. So I'm going to go back 1 hour. So go backwards 1 hour. So instead of it being 4 o'clock, it's now 3 o'clock. So I've gone back 1 hour, and then it said half an hour, which is 30 minutes. I'm going to go back half an hour. And that leaves me on 2:30, 2:30. Digital time's up there as well for you. So your answer there is 2:30. Okay, or 2:30. So we do the same again here. Our start time's missing, but we know that the duration was 20 minutes and the end time was this, 8:30. So you could look at that and think, what would that be digitally? 8 30. You can do what we did when we were finding our end times. You can look at the duration being 20 minutes. Can you take 20 minutes away from 30? Can you take 20 from 30? Yes, you can, without needing to exchange from our hours. So we're still in the 8th hour. 30 take away 20 is 10. But I'm just going to double check with my clock. So I'm going to put 8:30 on my clock and count back 20 minutes. 8:30 on my clock. Oh, almost drag that to 8:30. There we go. So 8:30 up there it says. I'm on 8:30 and I'm going back 20 minutes. Anti-clockwise then 5, 10, 15, 20. And the answer is 10 minutes past 8, 8:10. Yep, that's what we got. Okay, so here the time is very nearly 1 o'clock. It's actually 5 minutes to 1. And the duration was 45 minutes. We've got to go back 45 minutes. So I'm going to do that here. First, I'm just going to have a quick look at what that would look like as digital time. So I'm not on 1 o'clock yet. I'm still in the 12th hour, so that's 12. Then how many minutes past 12 o'clock is it? 55. That's 12:55. Now what I need to do is work backwards. I'm going to take away 45 minutes from 55. Can I take 45 away from 55 without having to exchange any of my hours into minutes? Yeah, I can. That's just a difference of 10. So I know that my hours won't change. I've still got 12 hours. I'm still in the 12th hour. But 55 take away 45. So 50 take away 40 is 10. 5 take away 5 is 0. So it's just going to be 10 past 12, 12:10. So I'm just going to double check that with my clock here. I'm going to put 12:55 there. So 12:55. Yep, that's my time there. 12:55, and I'm going back 45 minutes. So I'm going to count in 5s from here, anti-clockwise. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. It's a bit tricky to try and get that bang on there. If your answer has got anything other than a 0 or a 5 at the end, you're not quite in the right place because we're only looking at multiples of 5 at the moment. Okay, so that answer was 12:10, 10 minutes past 12 o'clock. Is that what we wrote? Yes, it was. Okay, so here the time it finished was 5 minutes past 2, and it was 1 hour and 50 minutes long. Okay, so I'm just going to put 2:05. Now, can I take away 50 minutes from my 5 minutes? No. I could take my 1 hour from my 2 hours, so I could go back an hour to 1:05, 5 minutes, 5 past 1, and then I've got to go back 50 minutes. For this, I'm just going to go ahead, make life easy for yourself. Oh, I've forgotten the time already. 5 past 2. And use my clock. It is there to be used. Okay, use it. So I'm going to go back 1 hour. So I'm going anti-clockwise 1 hour. So now 5 past 1. And then I have to go back 50 minutes. So I'm going to count in 5s. I'm going to go back anti-clockwise, counting in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Okay, and my answer is 12:15, 12:15. Okay. Right, so I'm going to do one more then before you have a go on your own. So my end time here, I'm not at 10 o'clock yet, so I'm in the 9th hour. And I am, how many minutes past? Well, that's 30, 35, 40. So it's 9:40. It means it's 20 minutes to 10. So in 20 minutes time, it's going to be 10 o'clock. The duration was 40 minutes, so I now need to count backwards 40 minutes. So let's have a look here. Can I simply take away? I'm on 9:40. Can I take 40 away from 40? I can. What will I be left with? 0. So my answer is going to be 9:00. If it says 00 there, what is that time? It's 9 o'clock. Let's just double check. Let's get 9:40 on here and go back. There you go. So that's 9:40. Just checking there. It looks like it's pointing close to the 10, but we're not at 10 o'clock yet. It'll be 10 o'clock in 20 minutes. I'm going to go back 40 minutes, anti-clockwise 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Bang on 9 o'clock now. Yeah, 9 o'clock on there. We were correct. Okay, for your do it today then, I want you to do exactly what I've just done. Okay, so you've got your start time, duration. You haven't got your start time, sorry, that's what you've got to find, but you've got your duration and your end time. So if I were you, I'm going to draw my lines again. Do a lovely little table in your book. And then have your headings, your start time, which you're going to leave blank to begin with. And then your duration and your end time. So you're going to start with your end times and you're going to think, well, firstly, can I just simply take away those minutes from my minutes? If you can, brilliant. If not, I would then use your online clock. Okay? So have a go at that. Pause it now so you've got it in front of you and then press play when you're ready to have a go. You secure it. Okay, so you'll secure it then. Gary's watching his favourite programme and it was an hour long. So think about how many minutes that is. When it was halfway through, the time was 18:45. What time did Gary's programme start? Okay, so at this point it was halfway through and the programme altogether is an hour long. So think about how many minutes halfway through will be, halfway through an hour. And that was at that point. So the duration so far had been half an hour. What time did it start? Okay, have a little go. Any working out you've got for that will be brilliant and will help you when you come when we go through the answer tomorrow. Okay, well done guys. Any problems, give me a shout, but remember, do not stress. If you don't know it, just have a go. Okay, bye.
Hi everybody, welcome to your writing session for today. We're going to start off with our warm-up, and this week we've been working on it's and its. Remembering that it's with an apostrophe is short for it is or it has, and it's without the apostrophe means that something belongs to it, okay? So like you've been doing all week, copy and complete the sentences and decide which it's fits in each box, okay? So let's start with sentence 1. Oh dear, it's not going very well. This week it's been very wet and the church rang its bells. So pause the video, copy out the sentences and choose its or its to complete each one. Good luck. Okay, brilliant. Let's see how that you got on. So, oh dear, it's not going very well. We've chosen it's with the apostrophe because it is fits in here. So, oh dear, it is not going very well. Makes sense. So that's an apostrophe. This week, it's been very wet. We've got it's with an apostrophe because this week it has been very wet. Is that what makes sense? And the church rang its bells. The bells belong to the church. So it's an it's without an apostrophe. Hopefully you're getting really, really good at these now. Okay, so today we're going to be thinking about adverbs. And we're going to be using adverbs in our sentences. So first of all, we're going to find out what a verb is. And then we're going to find out what an adverb is. Okay, so listen very carefully. So hopefully you know what a verb is. Have a little think. Can you remind yourself? Can you define it? What is a verb? Okay, a verb is an action. It's a doing, a being, or a feeling word. It's a thing that happens in a sentence. It's the action part of it. So here are some examples. Run, fly, think, and speak. Okay, all of these things are actions. They're things you can do. They're doing words. Okay, and an adverb adds to the verb. Okay, so we need to know what the verb is to be able to add some information. It adds to the verb, okay? So an adverb tells you more about a verb. Quickly, steadily, carefully, loudly. Okay, so you might speak loudly, you might fly carefully, or run quickly, because our adverb tells us more about the verb. Okay, fly steadily, think quickly, speak carefully. So today we're going to be using adverbs within our sentences, and we need to remember that some adverbs don't end in ly. Lots of them do, but not all of them, so don't get caught out in our sentences. Tomorrow is an adverb, then is an adverb, now is an adverb, soon is an adverb. All of these adverbs tell you when something is going to happen. Okay? Here and there are also adverbs. They tell us where the verb is going to happen. That's what they add to the verb. they still tell you more about a verb, but they don't end in ly. So, I lost my broomstick. Lost is our verb. How did you lose your broomstick? I lost my broomstick where? Here. Okay. I want a cat. When do you want a cat? Now. Okay, so we tells us when and where, and these ones don't always end in ly. Lots of our how ones do, but not our whens and our wheres. Okay, so adverbs tell us when, where, why, or how the verb happens. Okay, the cat slept daily. When? Okay, the cat slept earlier. When? The cat slept yesterday. Adverbs telling us when something happened. Okay, the cat walked here, telling us where the cat walked. The cat walked there, again telling us where the cat walked. And the cat walked outside, telling us where the cat walked. Okay, now let's have a look at some whys and hows. So the cat watched silently, okay, telling us how he watched. The cat watched intently, telling us how he watched. And the cat watched avidly. Avidly is another word for really, really engrossed, really watching carefully, avidly. Okay, and that tells us how the cat watched. So adverbs tell us when the action happens, where the action, the verb happens, or how the verb happens. Okay, so see if you can spot the adverb in these sentences. Victor Krum flew skillfully around the arena. The Bulgarians' fans cheered loudly for their popular seeker, and the game began fast with both teams flying around the stadium. Pause the video, try and write down the 3 adverbs in each of these sentences. Now remembering that you need to spot the verb first and then find out which word describes the verb, which one adds to the verb, which one tells us where or when or how the verb happened. Okay, have a little look at those. If you want a bit of an extra challenge with this one, when you've written down the adverbs, you can tell me whether that adverb tells you when or where or how the verb happened. Okay, so take a minute and write those down. Okay, well done. Hopefully you've either written down the sentences and underlined the adverbs, or you've written down your list of adverbs and maybe you've told us when, where and how as well. So let's have a look at the answers for these ones. So, Victor Krum then flew. Flew is our verb. How did he fly? Skillfully. So hopefully you've identified that the adverb is skillfully. It tells us how he flew. The Bulgarian fans cheered loudly for their popular seeker. The verb is cheered. How did they do it? Loudly. Okay, so it's an adverb of how. And this one was a real sneaky one because if you notice, there are 2 verbs in this sentence. So the game began fast. How did the game begin? Fast. Okay, so it's an adverb of how. Flying around the stadium. So this is an adverb of where. It's telling us where it happened. So the flying happened around the stadium. So really well done if you managed to spot both of those in the last sentence. Okay. So what we're going to do with our adverbs today is we're going to be writing a little passage that uses adverbs within our sentences. So first of all, we're going to watch some action. We're going to watch Harry Potter's first Quidditch match, which is full of action to help us to think about these. So in order to use adverbs, we first need to think about some verbs that we're going to add the extra detail to. Okay, so whilst you're watching, make a list of all the actions that you spot in the video. And I'm going to do the same, so you can watch mine come up as well. And once we've got that list of actions, we can then start adding some adverbs to them to show where, when, and how they happened. Okay, so let's watch this video together first. Okay, so let's have a little watch of the video, and we've got to make notes on the verbs, the action that is happening as we go through. So let's start off. Go, go!
Looks like he's going to be set.
He's got the snitch! Harry Potter receives 150 points for catching the snitch!
Gryffindor wins! Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video clip. And if you just look at the little list that I made while I was watching for the verbs that we can use in our writing, we've got shouting, flying, pushing, knocking, diving, falling, balancing, reaching, falling or tumbling, heaving, gasping, looking, catching. Loads and loads of action happens. So we've got something really exciting to write about when we're looking at our adverbs today. If you haven't got some of those written down, you can always add them to your list as well. Okay, so on to our writing challenge for today. What you are going to do is write some sentences which describe Harry's first Quidditch match that we've just watched, using adverbs to give the extra detail to show when, where and how the action happened. Okay, so we've given you that list of verbs that I've just come up with. You can always rewind the video and watch the clip again. Make your list of verbs to help you to write this. And then we've got here a list of how, when and where adverbs that you might be able to use to help you in your writing today. So I'd like you to write me a short passage to describe the Quidditch match using lots of the verbs that we talked about and including some adverbs in your word sentences as well. Okay, so have a little go and don't forget to send it to Miss Cunnington, Miss Foster when you've finished if you'd like some feedback on it, and we will be on to connected curriculum once you've finished. So come back to me when you're ready for your connected curriculum. Okay, and on to connected curriculum for today. Today's Thursday, so we are almost through with our connected curriculum topic for this week, which is an art topic on sculpture linked to our overall topic of World of Wonders. You'll remember that there's an essential task to do this week, so lots and lots of information on different sculptors, different sculptures that you can look at the Tate Modern, different techniques that you can use to sculpt, and there's even a quiz on there as well. And then there are 4 learning challenges this week. 3 of them are to make different sculptures with different materials. So we've got tinfoil, we've got natural materials, we've got cardboard and clay, or if you prefer to do some research, there's a research option this week as well. Hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you again for more learning tomorrow. Bye bye everyone.